we're going to be discussing choosing the right digital asset management system with AEM. So today we have Martin de Muniategui, Solution Specialist at 3Share, and Rabiah Coon, Senior Marketing Manager at 3Share. Welcome, both of you guys. Can you start with a quick bio about yourselves? Rabiah, you can go first.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Rabiah Coon. I've been with 3Share for about 6 years, and most of that time was spent on the delivery side as a project manager, and now I'm the marketing manager. But before that, I was in e-commerce and transportation and like warehouse management, and spent a lot of time on the product manager and operational roles. And then for the last 6 years, though, the primary software I've used is AEM. So that's kind of an intro to me. So Martin?
Well, hi everyone. Hey Rabiah, Payton. So my name is Martin de Muniategui. As you said, I'm Argentinian, living in Spain. I'm really excited for being here. Thank you for having me. So I'm a systems engineer and been working in software-related jobs for the last 18 years. Worked as a business analyst, project manager, scrum master. Joined 3Share in 2018. That's 5 years ago. And in 2022, I switched roles. I previously was a PMBA, and in 2022, I started within the sales team as a solution specialist. So my role now is to meet with new clients or existing clients, understand their challenges and their issues, and propose new solutions from a processes standpoint or a software standpoint. That could be sites implementations, assets implementations, or something else, custom applications, or headless implementations. Yeah. So again, excited to be here.
Yeah, that's great. And I guess we'll just get started on our discussion. So it's really great. First of all, Martin and I, we worked together for quite a long time on the project management team. So it's kind of nice that we're working together in a different role now. One thing, Martin, I think, some people will hear the term "damn" and think I'm saying something wrong, first of all, but wonder what we're talking about. And when we're talking about a digital asset management, and it's really a similar concept to what a lot of us use in our daily lives. Like when you think of your photos in your phone and organizing them into albums, or even in Google Drive or Amazon Photos, or I don't know what other people use, but those are the main ones I use. So it just seems kind of like the same thing, but just on a way higher level, right?
Yeah, you're right. So we are somewhat used to using a lightweight DAM, Google Drive, sorry, Dropbox, or the ones you mentioned. With a digital asset management solution, there are a few differences. Basically, the functions of storing and sharing and managing assets, that's the same. But then with a DAM, any DAM solution, I would say, there are key benefits that you get that you won't get with the ones we mentioned. So with AM Assets or AM Assets Essentials or some other DAMs, there are certain things that should be covered. First of all, the most important thing, it's the keywords or tags that come from any company's taxonomy. So this helps you organize assets, but also helps you search assets. So a tag could be, I don't know, if you run a cars company, a tag could be the car model or the color of the car or the photographer of the asset that you have there. So those kind of things are tags that are coming from a taxonomy that you maintain. Then you should get granular access to the assets. So some solutions provide, some others don't. So you should be able to set different types of permissions, a level of permissions within the DAM at a folder level or at an asset level. And this could also be like an integration with a single sign-on solution that you have in the background. So you can provide access to a folder to certain groups that come from that, I don't know, Microsoft Azure, for instance.
Yeah.
The search functionality is also something that you could get on a lightweight DAM, but a DAM itself should provide a robust search that will let you search with tags or within that taxonomy that we mentioned. Should allow you to customize the search, customize how you search, the filters that you have in the search, allowing you to perform those functions. And also some DAMs will have for the search as well as for categorizing assets, auto tagging. That is an AI, an artificial intelligence, running on your asset. So when you upload an asset, that AI will read the asset, will identify what's in there, and will give you certain tags like the color of the image, the action that's being performed, if there are people, if there are objects, if there is text. So that things will come from an AI. Then a DAM will help you with the brand management and the consistency of your brand. So you don't want to have different logo versions that are outdated on your DAM. So this will help you maybe set some rules that after a certain period of time, some assets will expire and will be replaced with some others. So you will always have the most updated version available. Analytics should be provided as well. So you should know how your assets are being used, if they are being used, the downloads that you got, etc. And the automation piece, the file conversion. So when you upload an asset, you don't want to be creating different renditions for your asset. You want a system that does that automatically. So a rendition is, I upload an image or a video, and then it's a wide image, and I want to have that image available for my social media networks. So usually those use square photos. So you want those images created, or those ratios created automatically, and not duplicating files and effort. So those are the main things that I would say differentiate what you mentioned before with an actual DAM.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and and then when you say that, it is a lot different. But hopefully that comparison helps people get their heads around it. And both of us are really familiar with DAMs, and specifically the DAM and Adobe Experience Manager, just having worked on many projects over the years, dealing with the various features and everything from like implementations to enhancements to upgrades. And now Adobe has a new DAM offering in addition to AEM assets. So can you talk about both of the Adobe Experience Manager DAM products?
Yeah, sure. So in addition to AEM assets, the one that we've been working with for most of our time, Rabiah, we have now Adobe Assets Essentials that was launched 1.5 years ago, I think. So it's a version of the assets implementation with the main functionality kept in there. And as you can see on the video, it's a DAM that covers all of the key benefits that I mentioned before that a DAM should have. So it allows you to tag assets. It allows you, well, it also has the auto tagging functionality that Adobe provides with their AI, Adobe Sensei. So when you see there in the tags tab, we see some tags that I didn't configure. Those came right after I uploaded the photo. So those identify what's in the picture, what the color is, what, it's a car, it's a red car, there's a road, there's a car running, etc. It allows you to manage permissions. It allows you to move assets within different folders. So permissions, the read-only access, the edit access, owner access, so those kind of things that you can do with any asset. It also has some cool functionality that we're going to see in a while that is allowing you to edit images online with Photoshop Express. So because Adobe owns Photoshop, they have this cool feature where you can, without having to download an asset, retouch it right there. So you don't need to download the asset, retouch it on your computer, and upload it again. So you can crop it or do some basic retouch online, and then it's going to be right there. So you don't need to do anything else. And it will also allow you to assign different tasks to users. So let's say that you uploaded a photo, Rabiah, and I need a different color of the background, for instance. So I would say, okay, Rabiah, can you please update the color? And then you'll get a notification and with a link to the asset, and you'll do that. So yeah, those are the main things that Assets Essentials provides.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it is. And that's a cool demo, and just seeing kind of how all the things can work, and you can move through the system, and just really with all those offerings and that Photoshop thing is, I think, really great, just because it makes it so much easier, I'm sure, for people to not be in and out of systems. But it's also, to me, just looking at that as a visual, it seems very streamlined compared to AEM assets that we're used to. So what does Assets offer in addition to all that?
Yeah, well, AEM Assets, it's a more enterprise solution, I would say, more robust solution with a lot of functionality that not everyone needs, not every organization needs all the functionality that AEM Assets provides. So that's why they came up with this AEM Asset Essential. And if we talk about AEM Assets, I would say every feature that you could think of that a DAM should have, AEM Assets has that functionality. And what we are seeing here on the screen is a list of the things that we usually 3Share implement on a given project. There are a lot more of features that come with AEM Assets, out of the box or not. But I'm listing the most important ones to us, at least as a company, and the ones that we usually implement. So when we say you can customize renditions, so that is what I briefly mentioned before in my last item of a key functionalities of a DAM. So in here, you could add more renditions. So it comes with a few out-of-the-box renditions. Renditions are different sizes and aspect ratios for each asset that you upload. And you can add as many as you need if you have different platforms that you support. And then when we talk about metadata profiles, so metadata profiles are like templates of metadata that you can set different types of metadata profiles. So we can set a metadata profile for one folder, let's say product folders, and then for brand assets, a different metadata profile with different fields of metadata. And AEM Assets lets you do that by folder and by file type. So you could customize it at a very granular level. Then when we talk about workflows, so although it has a lot of out-of-the-box workflows, it comes with a lot of out-of-the-box workflows, you can create and customize a few of them. And we're going to cover that when we go to the case studies that we have prepared for the end of my presentation. But a workflow is a set of tasks that should be performed. It could be tasks that someone else needs to perform, or it could be tasks that AEM will perform and we automate some, like the renditions one, for instance. That's part of a workflow. And projects is a feature that is designed to make all these workflows fit together. So maybe you have 7 different workflows that you want to fit within a certain project. Let's say that you are running the winter campaign for your clothing company, and projects will when you start a project, it'll trigger different workflows like photo shoot, retouch, etc. So those are projects, and it also allows you to have a dashboard that will tell you what tasks are being run at a certain point, what things are pending, and so it gives you some level of visibility into what's going on within a creative team. Then we have the asset selector, which is a framework that allows you to integrate AEM assets with any other platform. So if you have a CMS, a different CMS that's not AEM sites, for instance, it could be Sitecore, then for you, it'll be almost seamless to access assets from AEM assets. It simulates that the assets are there, so you don't need to download assets, upload them to the CMS. It's seamless. It's integrated, of course, because it's from Adobe with Adobe Analytics, Adobe Campaign, Marketo, Workfront, which we had an evolved. The last session was about Workfront, and Sites, which is the content management system from Adobe. Dynamic Media is a tool that lets you manage and publish digital experiences. So could be that you want to use a set of images. So media sets are called in Dynamic Media for a different site. So you have an e-commerce site that's connected with AEM assets. So Dynamic Media will let you create a media set, and that will be a carousel of images that you don't need to handle in the e-commerce platform. It'll go directly from AEM assets. Or if you have a video, Dynamic Media will allow you to serve that video with different bit rates depending on what you're accessing or where you're accessing it from. So maybe you're accessing it from a mobile device with not very good connection, so it'll serve a video with a low bit rate. Or if you're accessing in a broadband from home, then it'll serve the best video possible. Then another key difference is that it comes with Brand Portal and Asset Share Commons, which are solutions that are made explicitly to showcase your assets to different audiences. These different audiences may be your affiliates or external agencies. And Asset Share Commons in particular will let you customize the experience. So you can add the branding, your branding, to the site. So let's say that you have a blue brand, and then the Asset Share Commons portal will be could look in blue, and I don't know, CSS styles that you can add, whatever else. You can integrate with any API. So maybe you have an e-commerce platform that you can integrate with that, or an FTP server. You can push images or videos to the FTP server and the other way around, or you can connect with a PIM solution. So that is something that's not with every DAM. And then the user management is similar to the one that we saw in Assets Essentials, also, although it's very complex, I would say. So you can, as we said before, connect with a single sign-on solution and assign different groups from those solutions here, and you can be even more granular into what you allow your users to do. You may allow them to change some metadata fields, some others you won't allow them to change, or things like that that you can customize. And the smart tagging in AM assets, the difference is that you can train the algorithm. So you have a brand and you have different products. The AI won't understand what those products are. What's the difference between one car model and the other one? But if you train the AI, it will tell you what model is. So that is the difference that you have with the other one. And the AI, it's from Adobe, it's not a connection. So you can connect with other AIs, but Adobe already has an AI. Then with content automation, what we mean is not only the creation of different renditions, but you can also connect AM assets with Photoshop, for instance, and create a set of actions within certain folders. So you have folder, and then you connect certain actions like remove background, and then you upload any asset into that folder, and AEM, along with Photoshop, will remove the background of all the assets that you put in there. This will save a lot of time. Of course, you may need to review that, but it's not the same as having to perform this task every time you upload an asset in there. And then the other things that I briefly touched on, like you can configure single sign-on, and it's integrated with all the Creative Cloud solutions from Adobe.
Awesome. Well, that's great, Martin. And you can really see the value of having this kind of system, whether it's Essentials or the enterprise solution. And really quick, I just want to mention that if you have questions coming up during the time that Martin or I are talking, or something to say, you can definitely put the questions in the chat, or there's a questions module. And if you do that, we'll be able to get to them once basically we're done with the presentation. So I should have mentioned that at the start. But basically, like, just in listening to you, Martin, and you talking about assets, AM assets, and talking about assets essentials, I can see like someone might be looking at this saying, I like what the features are in enterprise, but I don't know if I need all that, but I don't know if essentials is enough. So it can really depend on the use cases the business has and why they would choose one or the other. So can you talk about first, like, who would choose assets essentials ideally? Like, who's the ideal user?
Okay, so yeah, you can see here there are a few types of organizations that would ideally use, or from our perspective, would ideally use asset essentials, and those are startups, non-digitized or not entirely digitized companies, and then town, cities, governments, and agencies. They are probably starting from scratch, or maybe they have I don't know, they're using local drives or a Google Drive or an FTP server. So changing to assets essentials is a huge step for them, and it's a very simple implementation. So in the third bullet point you see there, or fourth, it is very easy to set up and customize. So once you acquire assets essentials, you're almost good to go, and that is the case with AM assets as well. But usually you will request more customization because you want to set up workflows, etc. So this assets essentials is like good to go from the get-go. And the use cases or the things that you'd cover with assets essentials for those organizations are that it allows access to centralized assets for these marketing teams. It allows sharing individual assets, and also you can group them in collections and share them in collections. The search is very robust, driven by the tags that you can add to the assets, and also by the tags that Adobe Sensei adds as with auto tagging. And then the metadata, you can edit that easily. The metadata profiles, you can also edit them at a file type level. So in AM assets, you can have metadata profiles per folder or per asset type. And in here, it's only per asset type. Asset type is like a PNG. For PNGs, you will have a metadata profile, and then for PDFs, you may have a different metadata profile. And that makes sense. So then you have simple out-of-the-box workflows for approval. So that is something, again, that we recommend when you're starting with a DAM solution. You should first crawl, then walk, and then run. So you don't want to go too complex. So, and a simple out-of-the-box workflow will make sense for most of these organizations. It comes integrated with the Creative Cloud suite as well. So this is also a benefit that you'll get from this, and probably not from other lightweight DAMs. Permissions that you can customize. That's very easy to do, and you don't need to be very tech savvy to do that. And the retouching of images online, that's a very cool feature that I at least didn't see in other solutions. And it is for those organizations that are with limited budget, and this is a very, I would say, important characteristic of this offering.
Yeah, that all makes sense. And also just thinking about, you mentioned about workflows and starting simple, but one thing I want to just say too is we talked about it at the last Evolve that you mentioned about Workfront, and we're talking a little bit about workflows now. And really, most businesses hopefully have some kind of process that they're following. And I think one thing that makes people resistant to change is that, well, now it's going to mess up my process, I can't do it. But the workflows allow you to do that with approvals like you showed, and requesting edits and things like that. So I think that's just a cool feature of both of the DAM solutions that Adobe has. So then in thinking about AEM assets, can you talk about the kinds of organizations and maybe some use cases that we have around those, since we have a lot of experience implementing assets?
Yeah, sure. So I brought two different use cases here. So the one that we're seeing now, the John Lewis one, is a long project that we ran with them. We did a lot of things with that. And then the other one is a shorter project. So I wanted to show that there are different approaches to implementing DAMs. And so in this case, for John Lewis, for those that don't know, John Lewis is a high-end department store in the UK. So we implemented AM assets for them with dynamic media project, and also we integrated with their PIM. So the issues they faced were similar to all the issues the companies that we engage with face. So different solutions for assets, FTP servers, WeTransfer, Google Drive, local drives, etc. They didn't have any integration with their PIM. PIM is a product information management system, so it's where companies usually store all the information about their products. And John Lewis has a lot of products, so maintaining this manually would be a nightmare. But they didn't have any, of course, integration with a PIM before we implemented the AM assets, and they didn't have any workflows tools to help them with their internal processes. So even though you can go with a tool that's only for workflows, AM assets has workflows tools that will help you and your organization drive some of these. So when we implemented projects and workflows for them, we help them remove some of the bottlenecks they had. We help them automate some of the tasks that they had to perform. So for their creative team, the project that we implemented was, they would start a project with a brief with a number of products. So, and then they would assign those products to photographers, internal and external. The photographers would get their tasks or get assigned those tasks. They would upload photos or videos to AM assets. And then whenever they uploaded a video, before an asset, before they go to review, with the integration with the PIM, we appended all the metadata coming from the PIM to that asset. So when the asset goes to review, automatically after they get the metadata, all the assets have the metadata. So no one had to do any manual task in there. And in the past, that was a lot of time involved for them to do. And then some automated tasks along the way until it was published. So in average, we helped John Lewis deliver 4,000 assets per week. So that's a huge number and a huge success for them and for us when we implemented this project. And then the other project that we have here is Chipotle. Well, Chipotle is an American chain of restaurants specializing in tacos, bowls, and what's the other one? Burritos.
Burritos.
Yeah.
I know that part.
So this was a swift implementation. So 2 sprints, quick. They needed to migrate their assets from disparate locations, like John Lewis as well. But they didn't need as many things and as many workflows. So they needed to improve their main admin approval workflow. So we implemented a process for that in AEM, and then implemented it as a share portal. So branded with the Chipotle brand, and to help them consolidate their brand with their partners. So yeah, awesome. That's what we did.
Yeah, these are really cool and good examples, Martin. I think really helpful just to hear about the different ways companies can use the same system, but also who would use what. So I guess if you were a potential client or someone looking to utilize a digital asset manager, what would you say like they should do to go about determining which one they need? Because they have 2 great products from Adobe to choose from at this point.
Yeah, sure. So I would suggest first they would assess what their current situation is, like what they are currently using, because they may be using several different tools within an organization that they don't know. So that's a fair thing to do. Like understand what's the current landscape, and then map your internal processes if you have them, and then identify the use cases that you want to address with the DAM, right? So then with that, and not this call, but some online tools that you can use, and also a post that we're going to do after this call, you should be able to approach, what product you will need, assets or assets essentials. Mm-hmm. We can also help. 3Share can also help you if you want to get in touch with us. We can help you. We are happy to do that, and we can also run an assessment where we are going to have a short project, 2 or 3 weeks project with you. And the deliverable will be the requirements and a solution design document that will let you implement, will tell you how to implement this solution. If you want to do it with us or with any other partner, that's up to you in the end. But yeah, those are things that I would suggest.
Yeah, cool. And then just that helps them be more comfortable with their decision. But there's not a bad decision. It's just you want to get the features you need for sure and make the investment in the right way. Cool. So I think, that wraps up our actual presentation and discussion. But do we have any questions that came in?
If you guys have any questions, you can post them in the chat. But we so far did have one come in. So do you think that organizations can save time or employee hours by implementing a DAM, and how would they be able to do that?
So I think there are a few ways for organizations to save time and to automate some tasks that may be tedious to some employees as well. So there is this workflows or projects tool that you can use where you'll streamline your processes, you'll find bottlenecks, and you can automate some of the tasks, like notifications or follow up on things that are pending or things like that. So that will help you deliver more. And in terms of saving hours, you can, with content automation, such as the creation of different renditions, or also the actions that you can set at the folder level with Photoshop or Lightroom, where you can remove background, add colors, or add a stamp for campaigns or things like that. That will for sure help organizations save a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just I'll add to that too. I mean, I think anyone who is facing the question from their boss, like, where is this file? Or if someone's been told, hey, you used the wrong version, things like that, you probably need a DAM. Because it'll save also frustration. So not even time, but also frustration. So, yeah.
And your job.
Yeah, and your job. Yeah, possibly your job. We might be saving jobs here. You know?
All right, I think that's it for the questions so far. I mean, if anybody still has some, feel free to post some and we can get to it after. But at this time, I think I'm going to move into the blog bonus.
Cool.
So
thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. So in this session, our blog bonus is going to be about building a custom RTE in AEM. And this is something that's often needed. And we're excited for Jorge to tell you about the solution he built as a POC.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hello. Thank you very much for the presentation. Let me open the slides and we'll go through it. Okay. Well, first of all, my name is Jorge. I've been with 3Share for not quite long, only 6 months now, but I've been working with as a backend developer for around 3 years. Okay. Today, I'm here just to explain a little bit about a blog we wrote recently about an implementation of a custom rich text editor in AEM. Okay, because sometimes the editor is not enough. The editor that comes out of the box within AEM is not enough. And there are many features that are requested by the clients that it's not easy to integrate or even possible to integrate. So the first thing is, let's talk about the support of this component, okay? We can use it everywhere. We can use it in components, in page properties, and content fragments. The same component, we can use it everywhere. With the out-of-the-box rich text editor from AEM, we have to use one component one input for components and page properties, but we have to use a different one from content fragments. And it's also supported in both AEM Managed Service and AEM as a cloud, both versions of AEM. Sorry. One of the main difference from the component is the infinite toolbar we have. In the previous, or in the out-of-the-box component from AEM, we have all the tools in a toolbar on top of the input. And there are sometimes, if we enable all the plugins available, there are sometimes that we can get 2 or 3 rows there. And sometimes one of them are disabled because it cannot be applied to the text you are writing or something like that. So it's kind of a messy way of representing all the information. Within this Editor.js, we have 3 different blocks of tools. Okay, we have block tool, which are basically the heading, the list, the image, whichever block itself. The inline tools are the styles applied to the text. In this case, we are talking about bolding the text or italic or even the links. And after that, there are some tune tools, which are some modifiers we can add. I take advantage of this to implement, we will see it later, a class picker selector for a block, which is actually a very frequently requested feature by the clients. In terms of integration within AEM, we can configure the editor and the plugins with XML file, like we did in any other components before. We also can take advantage of the Sling resource merge, and we can create one configuration file with all the plugins listed there and all these configurations, and just use the Sling resource supertype property and just place it everywhere. Even in content fragments, we can use this property. And one of the plugins we developed, the image plugin, and for example, we integrated it with our rendition system built in. No need to use ACS Commons if you have any other solution for that. But in the project and the demo we will do a little bit later, we are using ACS Commons. And there are many plugins open source available if you want to take a look at them or integrate them. But basically the possibilities are infinite. You can even integrate with a backend to extract some data or anything like that. but everything is not perfect always, so there are some drawbacks. The editor is built for more modern front-end frameworks like React or Vue or something like that, because the information is saved as JSON instead of HTML. So it's up to the developer to actually build the front end, the HTML. They have a list of elements, and they have to create the markup from the information displayed there. And since was just a POC, the API is not exposed. So if you install the project as a dependency in any other, you can take advantage of the plugin. But that's actually pretty easy to solve. Okay, so let me just show real quick to do a live preview. Basically, this is the previous editor. This is the out of the box with any plugin enabled. This is the standard rich editor. You can place some text, make it italic here. There we go. And bold, you can make list with indentation, list, and changing a little bit the headings on the kind of block we are using. With this component, the rich text editor is actually the description. The interface is pretty different. We have the label, required, description, and placeholder like we use in any other component. We support internalization also if you need to place for different languages. But the interface is different. Whenever we focus the input, we have the plus icon here, which displays all the options we have. There are many others that can be added using plugins, but for now we just integrated a few of them for the proof of concept. Okay, so the text basically just write the text on it. There's no more with that. If we want to go to another line or another block, we just hit enter or just click one line before, and we can place the heading, for example. Okay, this is actually a heading like we talked before. With these 6 dots over here, we can configure the block, and we can change the level of the heading. Okay, and for example, we can place the alignment of the text anywhere. And this tool over here is from the editor itself, where you are allowed to move one or down the element. Instead of copying and paste it before, you can just start moving them around. You can also remove if you want to. Another component very useful is the list. Whenever you can place it, you can even tap and indent it many times you want. Okay. Use it here, the indent a little bit, indent another one. We can configure it to be an ordered list or unordered list with these 2 buttons over here. And this is actually the plugin I told about this class picker. If we want to, for example, change the bullet or have many bullet options, let's go for the unordered list, for example, we can place it here a class to the block and just say, I want the circle bullet, and the bullets are cycled. If we want the square, we can place it to square. We can even remove the style and go back to the default one. For the ordered one, we can also use the same for the alphabetical or the Roman. All the information displayed in this dropdown is configured using the XML file of the plugin. Okay, so you can have many options. We can also have many instances of the same plugin. For example, for the text, we have the color here, but we don't have the options for the list. If we check here, we have more options over here. This is the same plugin with different configurations. Okay. And one of the best integrations we did is the image plugin. Okay. Whenever you click the image plugin, there is a click or drop image here button. We can either pick an asset from the AEM side panel, for example, the Me image over here, and drop it here. And it automatically saves with the image embed. Or we can use the other functionality, which is basically click on it, and the asset picker is open. The same way as we use in other component. So let's just pick the asset here. Okay. Now that we have some dummy data, well, we have also the table. Nothing much about the table to say, but we can also customize it over here, to the left, to the right, also with the cells, all the rows. And we can configure the heading and the to be bold or not. This is actually a community plugin we didn't develop ourselves. We just install it and embed in the editor. Now that we have some dummy data, let's place some title over here because it's required, and make it also work with some comments. Comment one with, for example, a heading, just to see that everything is saved properly. Okay. And this is the comment two, and let's drop an image here. The asset, for example. Whenever we hit done, everything is safe. We have the title, which is the first input we had. The color we place in green. The list with the Roman numbering, both images, table, and the comment section. We have the comment one with the heading and the comment two with the image. So everything is properly saved. Whenever we edit again, everything is loaded. Okay. If we go to BS Publish, it's the same. We don't have much styling here because this was just a bug, but we can see that everything we added in the component is actually displayed here. We also can check the image. It's using the SRT set property to enable the renditions for different widths. We can see here. From transform rendition XS, image JPG, we can see all the renditions over here. Okay, back to the editor. Let's take a quick look to the link plugin, or the inline plugins actually. We have the bold over here and the italic. The same way, this is native. And this is also native from the editor, where when creating a plugin, you can just, for example, convert to heading, will swap the block to a heading level. Okay, then we can configure it here like a heading. I didn't create any of the plugins there, but you can if you want. On the link tool, we integrated it with an input component, which is actually a page picker, where you can navigate through the admin and select the page and open a new tab. For example, if we go to BS Publish again, we can see that the link is here. If I click on it, it will throw an error because I don't have the slim mapping configuration enabled. But at the bottom, we can see that it's pointing to content AM custom RTE as n, which is basically the same page we are on. We can hit on it, and then whenever we add the HTML to it, it will work. Again, the page. Okay. So that's pretty much the integration. We can also check the properties that it works perfect with the, like we have some dummy text over here. We can also add the image and click on it to open the dialog, and it works perfectly. Okay. And even when saving the options, save. Everything is safe in its place. And the same way, we can also take a look to the content fragments. In the project, there is a content fragment already created, which contains the Editor.js component. Just open. We can see here the title. This is the basic input and some Editor.js component. Let's add the image so we can test that everything is working properly with the image, which is one of the more integrated plugins in the system. We also have the link where we can place the page, and we can actually have the comments again. Okay. One comment. Save, reload again. We can see that everything is properly saved. We can edit the link again if we want to. This is the link we are using. The image and the comments are both saved in the same place. So that's actually pretty neat. And that's pretty much it from the plugin. There are many work to do to support the full AEM editor. For example, the superscript or type or underscript options, or extending a little bit more the image plugin, because right now whenever you add it, you can modify it. But that's actually some feature request. This is what just proof of concept we wanted to create and integrate with the basic next of an editor, which is basically the ability to use the images from the DAM in this case, and the ability to pick the page in a link, which I think is the most important thing from an editor, to support or integrate with the ecosystem of the framework where it's built in. Okay. Let me just
All right. Thank you. And thanks everybody for joining. We hope to see you next time. We're going to be running these webinars every around 6 weeks. So you can follow our LinkedIn. I put the link in the chat for more updates and more information about topics for the coming up webinars. But yeah, thank you for your time and hope to see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.